Call from mom. Answer it. Call silenced.
Instacart knows nothing gets between you and the game. That's why they make ordering from your couch easy. Stock up today and get all your groceries for the week delivered in as fast as 30 minutes without missing a minute of the game.
You have 47 new voicemails.
Download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders while supplies last. Minimum $10 per order. Additional terms apply.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
yes, goal,
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug? Ignored a leaky faucet? Pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look that way? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. Whether it's a door that sticks, or a disorganized closet, or an AC unit that only works half the time. It all matters. You just haven't taken care of it yet. But there's an easier way. Just download the Thumbtack app. You can search for what you need done and find tons of highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Check prices, reviews, and book a pro right on the spot. Plus, you'll know what to tackle next, because Thumbtack is the app that shows you what to do, who to hire, and when. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, say goodbye to all those unfinished home projects and say hello to caring for your home the easier way. Download Thumbtack and start a project today.
And a phony at the mic.
This is the Bob and Jeff Show, starring Bob Lutz.
I wish I could be in the living room of somebody who's listening to this show.
Jeff Lutz.
You think they're listening in their living room?
And maybe.
It's not 1943.
It's a strange world.
97.5 and 1240 KFH.
Stand by for action.
Hello again, everybody. This is the Bob and Jeff Show, a Friday edition here on KFH Radio. Bob Lutz, Jeff Lutz, co-hosting the show. Max Power is our producer and engineer at 869-1240. It's a nice Friday. My team lost its first game last night, a tough one.
Your League 42 team.
Yeah, a nail-biter out at McAdams Park, 4-3. Well-pitched game.
Sounds
by
like
both teams. We played 6 innings in an hour and 40 minutes. It was one of the best games I've been involved in terms of being brisk and fairly well played, although our guys made a few miscues.
I feel like an hour 40 for 6 innings is kind of long.
You ever seen a League 42 game,
for a youth game, but maybe not.
Have you ever seen a game?
I've seen a few.
Yeah, well, knock it off.
Wind surge they were going along pretty quickly last night too, but then it kind of slogged. But
they've gotten hot all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're playing well.
Who's the big left fielder, big guy? What's his name?
McCusker.
Yeah, what's his story?
He hits the daylights out of the ball.
Well, he's huge, so I would have
hit a 509-foot home run the other night. 3-homer game, first 3-homer game for the Wind Surge, longest home run in their history. So yeah, and he's hitting over 300. So we'll see him.
Can he defend anywhere?
I don't know. You put him in a corner and stick his bat in the lineup and hope you get the value.
And then their prize prospect, what's his name?
Emmanuel Rodriguez.
And he's had a good year, right?
He has. He's going to be a nice leadoff type someday. He can hit with power, but he's so patient and selective. He typically knows the strike zone better than these Double-A umpires, so he can strike out looking occasionally. But that's not a problem.
Double-A umpires, try Major League umpires.
I'm just saying.
It's time for robo-umps. I'm in. It's time for the Cardinals to go away. I'm in on that, too. And you lost to the White Sox last night.
Yeah, just
you can't be happy.
Not happy.
Not happy.
That game they should have won.
You can't be happy.
They had
the Royals
opportunities
winning
and
in Anaheim. So they draw closer.
Twins
Minnesota wins. They're tied now with Cleveland.
No, they're not.
They should be. They're right there.
They're a game out.
Nah, they're not. I don't think they are.
They're 8 over 500. The Guardians are 10 over, so it's a game.
Yeah, they're a game and a half out,
Game
as
and a
are
half,
the
whatever.
Royals. So we'll see.
We will.
Good stuff in the American League Central. So today on the show we have Jesse Newell at 2:25. We'll talk some Chiefs with Jesse, especially as it pertains to Rashee Rice, who followed up one idiot act with another, apparently. And we'll see what Jesse thinks that will do to his status as a Kansas City Chief and then to the receiver corps as a whole. And who do we have at 2:45?
Laura Jo Atherley.
From the independent school. She's the headmaster or principal or whatever.
They have the upper school, the lower school. She's the head of the upper school.
All right, we'll talk to her at 2:45. We mentioned briefly yesterday that the Central Plains League voted unanimously to eliminate the independent school from the league after the 2024-25 school year. So we'll get her thoughts on that.
Absolutely, and she sounded eager to talk about it. So I am looking forward to what she has to say.
Well, so are we. So am I. I got home I record every Cardinals game, but I'm not going to watch many of them, even if they win, because they're out. They're done. I haven't experienced this with the Cardinals in a while. I don't know what to think. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to react. I don't know.
Well, it just doesn't make
I
a
look
ton of
forward
sense.
to baseball season so much. And to think that here we are on May the 10th, June, July, August, September, October. I got more than almost 6 months where I won't be invested in Major League Baseball, which is my number one love.
Well, you said last year you watched every game and still found enjoyment, and they were terrible.
I've decided I'm boycotting until John Mozeliak, the president of baseball operations, is gone.
How likely do you think that
I
is?
think it's becoming more and more likely. I think the dam will break. I think the pressure is mounting because they can't really fire the manager. He's done that. He fired Mike Matheny. He fired Mike Schilt. If he fires Oliver Marmol, that's 3 managers that he's – no. The problem isn't the manager. The problem is John Mozeliak and the front office and player development. And that's their problem. That it's clear. I study the Cardinals from top to bottom. I know every player and on every one of their minor league teams. I look for bright spots. There aren't that many.
I'm sorry to hear
their
that.
Entire system.
It's not good.
I can admit it. You could never admit it if it was the Guardians.
Of course I could.
You couldn't take an objective look at your situation.
Of course I could. Ask me anything.
Well, how do you feel about the future of the Guardians?
Pretty strongly.
See?
But everybody feels strongly about. Well, we have guys that look like they should come up at some point and play well. Now, they aren't necessarily on the doorstep, but you always have hope, and you always are going to, expect
Cardinals need a Bobby
something
Witt
good.
Jr.
They've had 3.
Who?
Well, Jordan Walker was supposed to be that
He's
guy.
not that.
He was supposed to be. He was the number one
He's
prospect.
not.
I know he's not.
Mason Wynn's good, but not Bobby Witt Jr.
Nolan Gorman's
a failure.
hopeless.
It's not going to happen for
Dylan
Nolan
Carlson's
Gorman.
hopeless.
Dylan Carlson's a bust. These are top 10 prospects in the game at one time.
I know.
You can't keep missing on these people.
Are they missing, or what do you think is happening?
They're not developing them.
Because they all had performance up through in the minor leagues,
and they're not developing. You develop players. They're like, when you draft them, they're like this mold of clay, right? And your job is to develop them into a work of art. Now, listen, I know a little bit about developing clay into works of art.
And dropping it on the floor.
Well, we're not going to get into all that, but
Thank goodness.
There's one artistic ability I had, and that was getting on the pottery wheel and doing a nice little job.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Okay, well, good for you. That's
So
quite the achievement.
I get what it takes to develop clay, and the Cardinals aren't doing it. They're dropping their molds all over the place, and it's frustrating. It makes me angry. Last night I got home, checked my phone. It didn't even check during the night. Didn't it? That's unlike me. That's so unnatural. I waited until I got home because I knew early on I get things that pop up on my phone, and I knew the Brewers had jumped ahead 3 runs in the first inning. So I put my phone in the dugout, didn't even check it until after the game. And until I got home, then I said, I might as well check the Cardinals score.
Wasn't competitive.
No. And meanwhile, on the drive home, I'm listening to the Royals, and they're all over the Angels.
The Royals
have gone from 106 losses last year to now being significantly better than the St. Louis Cardinals. Not a little better, significantly better.
That's what's happened. How does that
happen?
Because they improved in the offseason, and you really didn't.
Then we need to go hire J.J. Piccolo. And
Piccolo.
I don't care what his name is. I'll call him whatever I want.
Well, I hear you.
It
would be cool if it was Piccolo, though, right?
I'm not worried about his name.
You shouldn't be.
I'm worried about getting somebody of that ability into our front office who can go get the players the Royals got.
Well, they didn't get anybody that wasn't available to you. They got Seth Lugo, Michael Wacha.
Well, we got Kyle Gibson and Sonny Gray, and they're fine. Sonny Gray was not great yesterday, the first bad outing he's had. The starting pitching has not been outside of Miles Michaelis and Steven Matz, has not been the bane of the Cardinals' season. It's been complete lack of offense. I mean an utterly complete lack of offense outside of Wilson Contreras, who's now out for at least 2 months. I mean, you talk about hopeless. There's never been a more hopeless season.
I don't know what to tell you.
And you're enjoying this.
No, I'm
not. I see that little smirk on your face.
What do I always say? I said it yesterday. I don't like when people feel bad. So when the Cardinals are doing bad, that brings me no joy. That you have to endure that. I don't want to.
Do you swear?
Of course.
That you're telling the truth?
Always. I always tell the truth.
I don't believe you because I think you do say I think you do take some satisfaction.
Absolutely not.
Because most people would look at the situation with the Cardinals and say it's about time.
No, I don't.
It's about time you guys got a little bit of this.
Now, if you were winning, I'd be upset.
Really?
Because I want to win. Like I want one championship, and then you can have the next 14. I really don't care. I want one. So if someone around me is winning and experiencing that, and
well, how do you feel about your friends who are Braves fans?
I don't appreciate it.
Does it affect your friendship?
No.
Do you feel inferior when you're around those people?
No, I'm obviously superior.
No, you're not superior.
Equal?
Maybe equal, but not superior.
It's too bad.
Yeah, so I listened to the Royals just for 10 minutes or so while I drove home, and their announcers are bubbly, and they're talking, and they're having all this. I mean, it's just unbelievable how they've turned this around. He's the executive of the year.
Probably so. I don't know.
Now, can they keep
who's
this
in contention
up?
for that?
I don't know. I don't know if they'll be in. I don't know. They're 23-16. What pace is that on? So 46-32.
Just give me the winning percentage.
92-66. They're on roughly a 93 win pace in Kansas City after winning 56 last year.
You did too much math right there. 23 divided by 16.
How good am I with math, by the way?
Sorry, the other way around. 16 divided by 23.
See, this takes you forever.
Is 162. 112? I don't know.
I just did it in my head.
What's the winning percentage?
I just did it in my head. Their winning percentage is .590. And I told you they're on a 93 win pace.
Oh, I did the wrong math.
See, this is an admission. This is an awful
96 wins.
No, they're not on a 96 win pace.
95.58.
They're 23-16. That would get them to 46-32 to 92-64. So 94, 95, something in that general area. But they're on a pace to win 90-plus games.
96.
After winning 56 games last year. Roll that around your head a little bit.
What am I doing?
Put your phone away.
There's the wins right there, man.
Yeah, I got it right.
95.5384615.
Right. I figured it out. I got it without all that.
You said 93.
So how in the world would Piccolo, is that how you say his name?
Yeah.
How in the world would he not be maybe the executive of the decade?
I don't know.
Of the century.
How about the guy who brought in Shohei, Glasnow, Yamamoto?
I can do that one. If I got unlimited money, I can do anything. The Dodgers have unlimited money.
They still got all those guys.
Right. They did. But they got unlimited money. That's not a challenge.
Okay,
a challenge
but
is looking at your team and saying, okay, we're coming off a 56-106 season. We're the Royals. We haven't historically spent. And then you go out with an owner, John Sherman, who I'm sure you wish you had in Cleveland.
We did have him in Cleveland.
Right. He wasn't your majority owner.
Right. I understand that.
He's the majority owner of
We're going to have a good majority owner pretty soon.
Yeah, you are. Well, whatever you think.
David Blitzer.
Yeah,
Look him up.
he's wonderful.
Thank you.
But this guy says, okay, let's go get Michael Wacha. Let's go get Seth Lugo. Let's go get all these guys that they brought in.
It's really just been Lugo.
Wacha pitched well last
night. Is Hunter Renfroe doing anything?
He's doing
Is Adam
fine.
Frazier doing anything?
Yeah, they're good role players. And then at the trade deadline, he traded off Aroldis Chapman, who, listen, he's had a fantastic career, but they brought back Cole Reagans. They brought back an ace for Aroldis Chapman. That's so unbelievable. The Cardinals made a trade with Texas.
Yeah, they got Jesse, who's pretty good.
Yeah. They sent Jordan Montgomery, a real guy. They didn't get Cole Reagans. Why didn't we get Cole Reagans?
I don't know. He didn't negotiate well enough. And that was
they got Tekoa Roby, who is, in Double-A, floundering a little bit. But if you trade Aroldis Chapman and you get Cole Reagans, my goodness, yeah, they're set up for 10 years with him.
He's not going to be there 10 years.
Well, he's 26.
Yeah, are they going to re-sign him to a huge deal when he's 30?
Probably.
No, I wouldn't.
I don't know why you wouldn't. Brady Singer's rediscovered it. Seth Lugo might be the best free agent signing of any of them. And they got him
for them, yes.
Well, who else?
Who else what?
He's one of the best free agent signings.
Right, but I just mentioned Shohei
outside of
and Yamamoto.
Again, Shohei got $700 million. Seth Lugo got a bus ticket and a bag of Pringles.
What about Ben Lively?
What do you call it?
$1 million.
The tube of Pringles, not a bag of Pringles.
Canister.
Who?
Ben Lively.
Don't care about Ben Lively.
1 year, $1 million.
Don't care about Ben Lively.
All right.
Ben Lively's dead to me.
He did not have a good night last night, but he kept us in it.
I don't care about Ben Lively.
Nor should you.
Not in the discussion. Not even something I want to even talk
about.
For
$1 million, though? Happy with it.
Well, look what the Royals got Seth Lugo for.
What was it, like $10 million?
Yeah. A little more. I think it's $12 million a year.
Well, he's earned it.
And he's got a track record. He'll actually keep it up. I don't care what you looked at the other day about forecasting stats.
Yeah, that's great. You don't have to
care. I don't care anything.
3 for 45.
I don't care anything about that. I just know the guy is a performer.
Okay. I like looking to see if it's going to be sustainable.
Have you played the Royals yet?
No.
I can't wait. When's that happen?
It's not for a few weeks at least.
Really?
I think the first time is
So then you'll be playing them every day.
I think the first time is in June.
You got to be kidding me. That doesn't even make any sense. So the Royals and Cleveland meet for the first time June 4th in Cleveland. And then the Guardians are in Kansas City June 27th through the 30th.
Could be a big series, or maybe it won't be. Maybe the Twins will have run away with the division by then.
We're taking our League 42 kids to Kansas City on the 25th of June.
Not going to get to see the Guards.
For a game against the Miami Marlins.
Yikes.
Our kids won't care.
Well, you're wearing Marlins colors right now.
We get to be in an area where there's a buffet and a private room. It's awesome.
You need another chaperone for the
No,
youngsters?
You're not going.
All right.
Well, I mean, you got things going on. I got this covered.
Well, have fun with it.
I do every year.
Good.
Almost every year. We didn't go for a couple there during COVID. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll visit with Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star. We'll check in on the Chiefs and everything going their way. Stay with us. You're listening to the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
Yes, goal.
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Have you ever covered a carpet stain with a rug? Ignored a leaky faucet? Pretended your half-painted living room is supposed to look that way? Well, you're not alone. We've all got unfinished home projects. Whether it's a door that sticks, or a disorganized closet, or an AC unit that only works half the time. It all matters. You just haven't taken care of it yet. But there's an easier way. Just download the Thumbtack app. You can search for what you need done and find tons of highly rated pros right in your neighborhood. Check prices, reviews, and book a pro right on the spot. Plus, you'll know what to tackle next, because Thumbtack is the app that shows you what to do, who to hire, and when. Pull out your phone and in just a few taps, say goodbye to all those unfinished home projects and say hello to caring for your home the easier way. Download Thumbtack and start a project today.
Now, with the MLB app, you can get baseball your way. Pick your favorite team, your favorite players, and get customized highlights, stories, and breaking news right on your home feed. Follow the action with Game Day, where 3D replays add another dimension. Plus, notifications can keep you connected to every pitch, every hit, every game. The MLB app. Baseball your way. Download it now for free from the App Store or Google Play. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission. This is the Bob and Jeff Show on 97.5 and 1240 KFH.
I never thought I'd be rooting for anything from or about Cleveland. Some people call it the mistake on the lake. And my nephew being there, of course, I'm 100,000,000% supportive of him. And he's just carrying on that family tradition of there's sports and there's music. My brother Stan was with the Baltimore Bullets, and he played briefly with the Lakers. And that tradition of music and sports has been a big deal in our family.
All right, the Beach Boys, Do It Again. Every song they do is unbelievably good. That was Mike Love from his first appearance here on our show, September 7th, 2018. It's incredible to me that I've interviewed Mike Love of the Beach Boys.
Long ago.
Yeah. Jesse, that has to make you a little bit jealous, huh? Jesse Newell joins us from the Kansas City Star. Are you a Beach Boys person as young as you are?
Yeah, sure, a little bit. I remember they guest starred on Full House one time watching it growing up. They did a concert from the Tanner's household. So, yeah, Beach Boys for me, for sure.
I remember that episode fondly, Jesse. I think we're in the same ballpark.
There we go. I didn't make it up.
That truly is one of the enjoyable aspects of being able to do a radio show and to expand beyond just sports. So if you could interview a musician, who would it be?
Oh, man. Who would it be? I don't know. That's a good one. I'm thinking probably off the top of my head, a guy like Dave Grohl would be pretty fascinating. I'll go with him.
That would be. We're going to get Dave Grohl on this show.
Yeah, I bet we are.
Last thing I do. All right, let's get into the Kansas City.
Real quick, I think you guys had one of my favorite bands was Jimmy Eat World. I think you had their drummer on once right before me,
We
Zach
did have.
Lynn. So I'm kind of jealous. I'm jealous of you guys for having him on.
Yeah, we did. We had him on as well. So let's talk about the Chiefs a little bit, because I guess the headlines right now revolve around Rashee Rice, and first to the driving incident in Dallas, and then this latest nightclub accusation in which he is accused of assaulting somebody. So if you're Andy Reid or the general manager and you're sitting around thinking about all this, what do you think they're thinking about?
Yeah, I mean, first off, we have to start with this second incident and basically say there haven't been charges filed against him yet. He's being investigated for it. That's sort of what we know, and the police report is out. But, this one has a lot more smokiness to it than the other one, because obviously the other one had video of him driving on the highway causing, starting a chain reaction crash. This one, the details still kind of remain a little bit murky with it. But what we can say is that when you're out on bond, when you have 8 separate charges against you, 2 of those felony charges, and a bunch of lawsuits lined up against you, and a lot of people basically coming out, whether it's in the organization or fans that are trying to show you grace and say, okay, maybe it was just a one-time mistake. This nightclub, whatever it was, however it happened, whether he's guilty or not, or whether he will even have charges filed against him or not, it's putting yourself in a situation again in Dallas that is not the place you want to be. And I can't imagine it's not going to affect his future NFL suspension, even if he's fully cleared of all this, just because, again, this was the time to lay low for him. This was the time to, for lack of a better term, to sit in your apartment and play video games. It's not the time to go out in town. It's not the time to put yourself in situations where other things can happen again. And I kind of think back to the old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. I mean, Rashee Rice right now has an opportunity to call many, many people who would be on his side and say, hey, look, this thing in Dallas, I'm with my old friends. It's just not working out for me. I've got bad influences. Can somebody get me an apartment in Kansas City? I just really need to stay there. And there's a lot of people in his corner right now that would help him in any way that they could. But he has to ask for that help. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think if you're Brett Veach, the GM, or Andy Reid, the coach, you wonder how much you can trust this guy, especially for the future, especially for a future potential second contract. But even in the short term, how much can you trust him this year? Because the one guy in the NFL who knew he couldn't get in more trouble, at the very least, put himself in position early in the morning in Dallas to put himself in position to be in trouble again. And so the trust issue, I think, here is definitely something that those guys have to factor in, and something you have to bring up to the top of your mind, or you're not doing your job if you're Andy Reid and Brett Veach both.
Are those two guys preparing as if they won't have Rashee Rice this upcoming season? Should they be preparing that way? And I think, we all kind of assume when it's a guy of stature and prominence that, jail time might not be in the equation. But is that worst case scenario in play here, in your opinion?
I'm not sure about that. Just because, again, he's hired the best of the best lawyers to do this. He has Royce West, the state senator in Texas, that's handling his case. The problem for him is that he's out on bond, right? And part of your conditions or bond are to not get more trouble. The other part of this is when you're trying to be a lawyer for him and plead down his case. We saw this strategy used by his lawyer when he had his press conference. He said, his words, Royce West's words about Rashee Rice, his client, was, do not judge Rashee on this one incident, judge him on his body of work. Well, now there's more body of work there. You know what I mean? Like now potentially, if this thing goes any further, you're looking at a guy that is sort of showing multiple times of if we put it at the very lowest mark, we would say bad judgment. You know what I mean? He's showing multiple instances of bad judgment. So I think the Chiefs, before this incident, thinking that it was going to be very similar to what they faced with guys like Charles Omenihu or Frank Clark in the past or Willie Gay in the past. Those guys were all suspended by the league as well. Omenihu's was 6 games to start the season. I think Rasheed's, probably they were guessing 4 to 6 games in that ballpark. And listen, that's stuff that you deal with injuries. That's stuff you deal with guys not producing. That's normal GM stuff. But with this incident, and the NFL has leeway to basically say if you embarrass the NFL, they can suspend you extra games. I just can't imagine that even if he's found completely, no charges on this, no wrongdoing, just the fact that he's put himself in the news again, I would think the NFL is going to look at that suspension again and say maybe there needs to be a little bit more added on there. So I don't think the Chiefs are preparing to go without him. I still think he could be part of their long-term future plans. I mean, he's got to get everything in line here, but no, I think they're still anticipating he'd be there about half the season. But he needs to get everything in order, and he needs to move forward on this thing with a little bit more urgency than he did after the first thing that happened here a couple months ago.
We're talking with Jesse Newell. He covers the Chiefs for the Kansas City Star. I'm curious, of course, there's such an embarrassment of riches here. Patrick Mahomes has won two Super Bowls in a row with the Chiefs without a guy like Tyreek Hill. So this year they draft Xavier Worthy at number 28 out of Texas, fastest player in the draft. How much can he be like Tyreek Hill, and how much do you think Patrick Mahomes encouraged and maybe swayed this pick because he wants a guy like Tyreek Hill in this offense?
Yeah, I mean, you hear the Tyreek Hill comparison a lot because of the speed. To be completely honest with you guys, I'm not sure we'll ever see a Tyreek Hill again. I mean, just based off the skill set, who he is, you add the game speed to his ability to go up and get a ball, to track a ball. I'm not sure that we've seen a player like that in the NFL before. So to comp a guy, especially in Xavier Worthy, just turned 21, a 28th overall pick, not the first overall pick, to Tyreek Hill, might be a little bit much. The comparison I hear more, and this makes sense because Xavier uses it and Andy Reid has used it before, is Deshaun Jackson, the former receiver for the Eagles, who was the downfield threat. It just feels like every highlight reel you had of Deshaun Jackson was him burning by a guy, a quarterback throwing it deep to him, and him racing down the sideline and scoring 78-yard touchdowns, that sort of thing. How much say did Patrick Mahomes have in this? I think the Chiefs trust their scouting department. I think they trust Brett Veach. But I think Mahomes loves to get his hands deep into this thing. He loves to, hey, send me videos on this guy you're thinking about. Or, the fact that he had kind of a tweet ready to go with an emoji guy kind of with the speed running along. I'm sure he made known that Xavier Worthy was the sort of guy he would be interested in. I know there were reports out there from Xavier Worthy that right after he ran the 4.21 40-yard dash, the Mahomes got his number and texted him. That was before the Chiefs drafted him. He texted him to say, hey, congrats, that sort of thing. And Xavier sure seemed like there was some indications that he might be a Chief one day. That could play into that. I think the biggest thing, just big picture, guys, is, Bob, you mentioned this. Mahomes is so good. You know what I mean? But he's good in that he can win in different ways. He doesn't have to chuck the ball downfield all the time. He can model what he has to the team's strength. Hey, if the offensive line's not as good, he can make short passes. If he has run after catch guys like Rashee Rice, he can utilize those guys. I ran this story just before the Super Bowl. His first year, Patrick Mahomes, there's an advanced stat called average depth of target, ADOT. And it measures how far downfield your average throw is, so past the line of scrimmage. In his first year, his average pass was 9.2 yards downfield. That ranks 5th among the 32 quarterbacks. Last year, it was down to 6.5 yards, which was 30th out of 31 quarterbacks. So Mahomes, to his credit, has molded his game to the pieces around him. But it also has limited him. He can throw a deep ball. He can, stretch the field. So I think this Xavier Worthy thing is an attempt for the Chiefs to not have Mahomes play with one arm behind his back. You know what I mean? Like, allow him a deep threat that can go out, track the ball, catch the ball downfield, and with that, potentially the offense adds another dimension that it didn't have a year ago. Could he win either way? He can win either way. But again, we saw a more explosive Chiefs offense in his first and second year when he was chucking that ball downfield. To your point, to a guy like Tyreek Hill, can they add a little bit more of a dimension of that back to the offense? Can they do that with Xavier Worthy? If so, I think you see Patrick Mahomes free up more of his natural gift. And if that's the case, we see more of those natural numbers, more like the Chiefs offense of 3 or 4 years ago than this past year where they sort of had to play turnover-free, perfect, no-sacks football, which still was effective in its own way.
Were you talking that whole time, Jesse?
Oh, no. Did you drop me?
Okay.
Well, we got back on and you were talking, and I was hoping that you were such a pro that you just kept talking and people didn't even care where we were.
Oh, sorry, guys.
So
here, I'll summarize in two sentences. Ready? Mahomes, very early his career, threw it 9.2 yards downfield as average throw, 5th in the NFL. I was with Tyreek Hill. Last year, he was down at 6 yards, which is second to last in the NFL. They want to introduce more of those long throws back. If they do that, they can unleash more of Mahomes' ability, and he won't have to play with one arm behind his back like he did a year ago, kind of making sure that he put himself to the offense and kind of catered himself to the offense rather than letting all of his natural gifts show.
And that was kind of my point in the question, not saying this guy's going to be Tyreek Hill, but that he's a Tyreek Hill type of receiver.
Absolutely. And look, they've had the guys like MVS in the past who can run downfield. You saw in the AFC Championship game, with the game on the line, 3rd and long, the Ravens said, we're going to single cover MVS. We're going to double cover Travis Kelce. And we know that MVS is going to run by our defender, but we don't care because we don't think he can catch it downfield. Now, sure enough, Mahomes throws a perfect ball. He allows MVS to catch the ball basically falling on his back to win the game. But if you have a receiver there that defenses have to say, hey, we have to double that guy. He can run by us, and he can catch it if he runs by us. All of a sudden, you unleash a little bit more of your offense and an explosive level of the offense that this Chiefs team did not have here the last couple of years. So that's the hope with Xavier Worthy. Again, just like you said, Bobby, he's not going to be Tyreek Hill. I think there's one Tyreek Hill in NFL history. But if he can beat Deshaun Jackson, that opens up a lot of what Patrick Mahomes can do and the Chiefs can do, and their offense might look a little bit more like it did 3 or 4 years ago rather than it did last season.
Were you surprised at that position that the Chiefs weren't more active in free agency? They did get Hollywood Brown, but it's a 1-year deal. There weren't a lot of great options out there. The guys like Mike Evans signed pretty early and Pittman. So were you surprised by that? And also, how much does it help team building, building a roster when you don't have to spend a lot of money on a premium position like wide receiver?
Was I surprised? I guess they could have used one more, especially if you're looking at the Rashee Rice situation and just unsure about it. If he does get suspended by the league will give the Chiefs kind of a roster spot back. So, I mean, if you look right now, they have probably, 6 guys with Rice you feel decent about. I mean, I know they feel decent about a guy like Kadarius Toney. Many fans don't. But there's at least talent there that has happened in the past. He sort of needed an off-season reset. So, potentially, they need a guy to emerge, whether it's Nico Remigio, a guy who injured himself and had to sit out last year, whether it's Justin Ross finally coming into his own. There's been hype around that, but never really production and some injuries, too, to go with it. So maybe still one short, again, depending on the Rashee Rice situation. But I think it speaks to your other question here, which was like, for the Chiefs, if you're looking at aging curves for receivers, those guys come out as rookies and usually are pretty good right away. So for the Chiefs, it makes a lot of sense to go out and draft guys and hope that those guys can hit at a lower salary when you're paying your defensive tackle top of market money, when you're paying your quarterback top of market money, and there's just not as much money to go around to all these other positions. So I kind of like what they do in that regard. Sometimes it takes a little while to playbook because it is so complicated with Andy Reid. But I definitely see what they're doing, which is, hey, if receivers are really good young and you always have the opportunity to draft them in the first or second round, do that. Get those guys in your system, have them for 4 or 5 years, and then potentially move on when they get really expensive because you already have expensive players at other positions. So I do sort of like that potential they have with their team building, and it goes a lot better when you can rely on those guys to potentially stay with you and not get themselves into trouble. So I'm sure that's why the frustration this offseason has been there with Rashee Rice, which is, man, on the open market, Rashee Rice would go up for a lot of money, and the Chiefs have him for a very low salary. Now can you depend on him to keep him on the field? If that's the case, then you have a very, very, very good asset if you're able to draft the right player and develop him the right way.
Jesse, thank you so much. We appreciate your time. We'll catch up with you as we get a little bit closer to camp, okay?
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thanks.
All right, Jesse Newell from the Kansas City Star. I'm watching this video, and this is a good thing about Twitter. Baseball History Nut on Twitter, which is a great follow, has this video up of Willie Mays in the batting cage. And just looking at Willie Mays is incredible. And then you look at the field that they're on. They're in a big league park. I'm not sure which one, but he's walking out to the batting cage. There's bare spots in the grass. It's unbelievable.
It was quite as well maintained back in the day.
It's unbelievable. I don't know. I get caught up in that kind of stuff. Here's independent school, upper school. Laura Jo Athley, are you the principal or are you what's your title?
Well, they call me the division head of the upper school, but it is in essence the high school principal.
Okay, well, we'll go with principal because I'll be able to remember that. So thank you for being on the show today. I appreciate it.
Sure, thank you for inviting me.
So we were all kind of taken aback by the news here this week that the Central Plains League, of which the independent school has been a member now for a while, voted unanimously to dismiss, I don't know another word for it, the independent school from the league after the 2024-25 school year. Anytime something like that happens, you start to think, well, why in the world would the Central Plains League decide to eliminate the independent school? So did you know this was brewing? How much were you involved in it? How many discussions have you been able to have with those folks around the Central Plains League about this situation?
Well, I'm new this year. I just started working at the independent school in July. I recently retired from another school district. And so I didn't have any background with the independent school, and I didn't have any background with the Central Plains League. When I went to some meetings this fall, I sensed some tension. And so in November, I, at a meeting, just said, is there something I don't know? Is there something that we need to clear the air about? At the time, I wasn't given any information, but in January, I was called to a meeting by the executive committee, and they reviewed some history with me of things that they felt weren't ethical or they felt did not make us good members. In that conversation, there really wasn't anything that had been a recent violation, but they did talk about CASA and sportsmanship and those CASA expectations, which as a former principal in a different school district, I was very familiar with. And so, we went to work this year in just making sure that we were good sports and good hosts when people came to the independent school. So when we received news a couple of weeks ago that they had voted to not have us participate in the Central Plains League, we were shocked and really surprised.
Yeah, it's surprising all the way around. So did you feel that Greg Rosenhagen, I guess the Cheney principal and the kind of the commissioner of the Central Plains League, sent a statement to the Eagle that said there were, these concerns were voiced. They knew. You said you've had talks, but did you think it was a fair portrayal of everything that had led up to say that, we warned them and things like that?
Absolutely not. I felt like when we met in January, we were simply having a conversation. I thought they were just letting me know from their perception things that they didn't agree with, or things that they had heard. Sadly, they didn't have any facts for me. They didn't have any data. They didn't have any dates or times or names. And so I was very surprised. Never in any conversations never in any conversation did I feel like we were on probation. And we also had never had any infractions from Keisha. Any time that someone had lodged a complaint against us with Keisha, we had been cleared, and there had been nothing found that we were in violation of.
We're talking with principal of the independent school, upper school, Laura Jo Atherley, about the recent decision from the Central Plains League to dismiss independent school from that conference. So normally my experience tells me when things like this happen, there are feelings of competitive imbalance. I look at the independent school and the success you've had, certainly an outstanding girls basketball program currently. But outside of that, it doesn't seem that you're dominating the Central Plains League in any way, shape, or form. So have you had any explanation? You said that they haven't come to you with any data, or are you kind of like we are, just left to go on what we read? Have you been able to have a conversation with anybody in a high position in the Central Plains League? Do you have clarity on exactly why this happened?
No, sir, we really don't. In fact, we asked for an appeal to get that clarity, and we were denied that. They let us know that they do not have a due process for us. In the agendas, there was nothing on any past agendas that would indicate anything that would give us information. And when we did ask to appeal, we were told that they have no process to appeal. They have no due process to appeal. And so we were really stunned. You are right. We have had some success with our girls basketball team. We also have had some success with our students when we think about the academically and our activities and our athletics across the board. Our girls, we have our middle school population has grown, and the girls that have come to the independent school, out of that group of girls, 40% of the girls on the girls basketball team, either as a manager or as a player, are involved in our pre-med program. So we feel like they've come to us for academic reasons, but we also know that kids want to go to school with their friends, and parents like to send their kids to schools where they know other families that will be there. And so we do know that we have benefited from one or two families post-COVID taking a chance on a private school, and then their friends have followed.
So Terrell Davis, who is another person in a leadership position at the independent school, said that no one reached out after the girls basketball team won the state tournament in the spring this past March. So did you feel like that success was unwelcomed in any way, that there was some resentment over that for whatever reason?
Absolutely.
I mean, my personal opinion, you'd want to have a state champion in your league, but why do you think that was?
Well, I don't know. I really don't know. I just know that when we were successful, we didn't receive any congratulations. Certainly our boys team was competitive this year, but we did have a number of losses, and they did not qualify for the state tournament. We have resurrected some other athletic programs that are doing okay, and we know that our vision says that we want to have excellence in those areas. But we also have them in academics. I mean, we had a Scholars Bowl team that placed second in the state. So we're proud of all of our programs, and we feel like we're competitive. But I don't know that the Central Plains League has been very happy for us.
Laura Jo Atherley is our guest from the independent school. So I'm curious about the reaction amongst your faculty, amongst your students, and amongst your parents since all this happened. What feedback are you getting?
Well, we're still kind of gauging that. We had a parent meeting last night, and parents were shocked. They were surprised. They were hurt. They feel like they have come together and they've picked this school because they want their kids to have a great educational opportunity, and they want their kids to have the ability to participate in all kinds of athletics and activities. One interesting fact about the independent school is that we are a no-cut school. So if you want to be on the basketball team, you can, and you can participate. Now, that doesn't mean that we're promising you playing time, but everybody who wants to be on the team can. And I think that's one reason that parents choose us, is that their kids have the opportunity to participate. So knowing that, I think parents have been shocked. But what we know for sure is that the sky isn't falling. We have great opportunities, and we are going to pick ourselves up, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to do what's right for kids. And that means that we're going to find places for our kids to participate, and we're going to find opportunities for our families to be involved.
Final question for you, Laura Jo Atherley, our guest principal at the independent school. So you mentioned you have other opportunities. Do you want to be in another league, another conference? Is that ultimately the goal? Has anything happened on that front? I know it's very soon after the Central Plains League announcement, but has there been any movement? Have you had any talks with anyone?
Not yet. Right now, we really are just having those discussions in-house and making sure that our parents are all informed on what's happened and making sure that our kids are okay and that our kids don't feel discouraged or disillusioned. Would we like to be in another league? Sure. We would love all of our kids' activities to have the ability to participate with other students and be competitive, whether it is in art competitions, music, Scholars Bowl, speech, forensics. All of those things are equally as important as athletics, and we want our kids to have the opportunity to excel in all of them. We have a strong theater program. We want to make sure that we have the opportunity to put on great productions. And so being involved in a league would give our kids some opportunities that we want for them. If that doesn't happen for us, then we'll figure something out.
Okay, and I have one more question. You mentioned the Central Plains League notified. I'm just fascinated by this. I'm a former newspaper columnist, so my reporter brain is working. When this was done, you said the Central Plains League has told you there's no due process in this process. Have
Correct.
You verified that with any attorneys? Are you looking down that road at all?
I really can't answer that question, to be real honest with you, because that's really not part of my role. Do I think people are investigating to find out if that's true? Maybe. My focus, though, is really just kids and just making sure that my kids are okay.
All right. Well, I appreciate it. We appreciate you coming on the show to talk about it. This is a tough one, but we hope the independent school finds its way forward, and we're sure you will. Thank you, Laura Jo.
Thank you for the opportunity to tell our story.
Thank you.
You bet. Laura Jo Atherley from the independent school. We'll take a break. We've got another hour or thereabouts left, a Friday edition, the Bob and Jeff Show on KFH.
Save on Cox Internet when you add Cox Mobile and get fiber-powered internet at home and unbeatable 5G reliability on the go. So whether you're playing a game at home,
yes, goal,
or attending one live, you can do more without spending more. Learn how to save at Cox.com/internet. Cox Internet is connected to the premises via coaxial cable. Cox Mobile runs on the network with unbeatable 5G reliability as measured by Ookla LLC in the U.S. 2H 2023. Results may vary, not an endorsement. Other restrictions apply.
Everybody knows it. Toyota trucks are the stuff of legends. Rugged, durable, everlasting. Toyota makes trucks that just don't quit. And now Toyota is driving that legacy toward the future with two of their most powerful trucks ever, the new Tundra and the all-new Tacoma. In a half-ton Tundra, you can rule the roads. From the comfort of a spacious cabin with connected tech and plenty of hauling power, the Tundra is ready to work hard and play even harder. Or check out the all-new 24 Tacoma, redesigned and electrified to maximize your adventure. With a bevy of available off-road driving and power transfer modes, you will effortlessly crush the conditions. And with the Tacoma's reimagined interior, you'll do it in style. And right now, your local Toyota dealer has more vehicles in stock and is making delivery on new vehicles almost every day. So don't wait. Buy a Tundra or Tacoma today. Visit buyatoyota.com for deals and more. Toyota, let's go places.
Baseball is back, and so is MLB.tv. Watch every out-of-market regular season game on your favorite streaming devices, anywhere, anytime, all season long. Follow the action live or on demand. Track 4 games at once with multi-view mode and catch up with in-game highlights. Plus, original programs, minor league broadcasts, and local pre- and post-game shows. Go to MLB.tv to start your free trial today. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.